Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Kalashandi Dham morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we're reading from Canto 7. We'll continue with chapter 13. We're going to read verses 28 through 34. And then we'll come back to text 29. 28. So read a couple, okay? Read like 2 or 3, okay? Oh. There we go.
In this way, the conditioned soul living within the body forgets his self-interest because he identifies himself with the body. Because the body is material, his natural tendency is to be attracted by the varieties of the material world. Thus, the living entity suffers the miseries of material existence. Just as a deer, because of ignorance, cannot see the water within a well covered by grass, but runs after water elsewhere, the living entity covered by the material body does not see the happiness within himself, but runs after happiness in the material world. The living entity tries to achieve happiness and rid himself of the causes of distress, but because the various bodies of the living entities are under the full control of material nature, all his plans in different bodies, one after another, are ultimately baffled.
Here, let me make it bigger. Which one? 31. Here, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, though, and then go down. Just a second. There we go. 31.
Materialistic activities are always mixed with the 3 kinds of miserable conditions: Adharmic, Adidaivik, Adibhut, and Adibhuta. Therefore, even if one achieves some success by performing such activities, what is the benefit of this success? One is still subject to the birth, death, old age, and disease, and the reactions of the fruitive activities. The Brahmana continued, I am actually seeing how a rich man who is a victim of his senses is very greedy to accumulate wealth, and therefore suffers from insomnia due to fear from all sides, despite his wealth and opulence. Text 33.
Yes, please, one more. Yeah.
Those who are considered materially powerful and rich are always full of anxieties because of the governmental laws, thieves and rogues, enemies and family members, animals, birds, persons seeking charity, the inevitable time factor, and even their own selves. Thus, they are invariably afraid.
We'll do 34, and then we'll go back to 29.
Okay, 34. Those who in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all these is desire for unnecessary prestige and money.
Okay. I apologize. Before we begin Srimad Bhagavatam, we put our hands together and say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naram Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayasha Breshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamha Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Om Gyanjamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Okay, today's focus verse is 7:13:29. Jalam tad ubhavaishchanam. Jalam taru udbhavyaischanam itvajno jala kamaya itvajno jala kamaya murgatrisnam upadahevit Mirgastrisnam upadhadvet Tatyanatratyadriks vataha Tatyanatratyadriks vataha Jalam tarudbhaivishchanam Hitvanjnao jalakamhayaya Mrigatrisnam upadhavet Tatyanyartratyadriks vataha. Bolo. Jalam tarubhadashanam Itvanjano jalakamaya Gastrinam upadahivit Ananatratyadikshvataha. Purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: just as a deer, because of ignorance, cannot see the water within the well, covered by grass, but runs after water elsewhere, the living entity covered by the material body does not see the happiness within himself, but runs after happiness in the material world. Please repeat. Just as a deer, because of ignorance, cannot see the water within the well, covered by grass, but runs after water elsewhere, the living entity covered by the material body does not see happiness within himself, but runs after happiness in the material world. Purport. This is an accurate example depicting how the living entity, because of lack of knowledge, runs after happiness outside his own self. When one understands his real identity as a spiritual being, he can understand the supreme spiritual being, Krishna, and the real happiness exchange between Krishna and oneself. It is very interesting to note how this verse points to the body's growth from the spirit soul. The modern materialistic scientist thinks that the life grows from matter, but actually the fact is that matter grows from life. The life, or the spiritual soul, is compared here into water, from which clumps of matter grow in the form of grass. One who is ignorant of scientific knowledge of the spirit soul does not look inside the body to find happiness in the soul. Instead, he goes outside to search for happiness, just as a deer without knowledge of the water beneath the grass goes out to the desert to find water. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to remove the ignorance of misled human beings who are trying to find water outside the jurisdiction of life. Raso vyai saha. Raso ham apsu kuntaya. The taste of water is Krishna. To quench one's thirst, one must taste water by association with Krishna. This is the Vedic injunction. Hare Krishna. wow, this is really nice by Srila Prabhupada, how he takes this, it's almost poetry. It is like poetry. And then he takes this verse, just as a deer, because of ignorance, cannot see the water within the well covered by grass, but runs after water elsewhere. The living entity covered by the material body does not see the happiness within himself, but runs after happiness in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada says that, who's the taste of water? Krishna. So he nicely brings this verse to Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, I am the taste in water. And when we take a nice big glass of water, what do we say? Right? That satisfaction, that quenching of the thirst is so nice, we can't help but say, ah. And that's Krishna consciousness. When we look within ourselves, it's not that we're looking at ourselves, but the true looking within ourselves is the truly looking at Krishna within us. Krishna is in the heart, and so as the soul looking within, we face Krishna, right? Our ignorance and our suffering is due to our turning our back on Krishna. And Krishna is there waiting for us to turn and face him. But millions and millions and billions of lives, we decide to keep our back turned to Krishna and look within the material world for happiness. And so that's what it's explained to as looking outside of ourselves. We're looking at the material world for happiness. Can the material world give us happiness? Why can't the world? Because why? It's temporary, right? And with a temporary world, what four things come? Birth, old age, disease, and death. These things are completely unnatural to us. But in this material world, being absorbed in material consciousness or the condition of material existence, we go through these sufferings. And so although the materialist will do everything in their power to forget of these four sufferings through trying to manipulate material worlds for their enjoyment, ultimately they have to be subject to these four things. And the materialists, they working millions of lives and working 24 hours a day, working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, 365 days a year, trying to figure out how that they can enjoy. They become pretty good at it in some ways. What I mean is pretty good at it means pretty good in distracting themselves from the miseries of life. Running from here to here to here, staying busy, trying to accumulate wealth so that they can keep busy, so that they don't have to think about these material impediments. And so when people in the mode of passion become very good at it, they're continually just running from one thing to another. Matter of fact, you can see in these people that when they get a moment to breathe, in a sense, you could say, they become very agitated. They can't even handle being peaceful and sitting down. They can't chant Hare. It's very difficult, let's say, to chant Hare Krishna because the desire to get up, move, do something, this mode of passion. But even though the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, and even up to the mode of goodness are there, we have a saving grace, you could say. See, the thing is that when conditioned by material nature and being conditioned for so many millions of years, it's really hard for us to do anything else but try to enjoy the material nature. But the saving grace is that somebody comes along and shakes us and wakes us up and say, hey, don't you realize that you're suffering? And then we say, Somebody who can think for a minute will say, yeah, I am suffering. Especially at the tough times in life, right? Sometimes you're cruising in life and things are so good, everything's going well, and then right around the corner is always some kind of distress, right? Not just in your own personal vehicle, the body, but in somebody else's, You see the suffering of your loved ones, and you take that on as your own suffering also. So somebody comes to us and says, hey, please try to realize that we're suffering and that this isn't the answer, this conditioned life, this trying to enjoy in the material existence. And this is somebody who is bringing spiritual science to us. They're bringing us outside of our conditioned state and helping us to realize there's something more than just this material existence. And so it takes that mercy by a devotee to shake us, to get us out of this. If we don't have the mercy of the devotee to come and wake us up, then we just continue to sleep, right? We're very good at sleeping. We can, maybe not the physical sleep of closing our eyes, but the sleep of just going from one thing to next, doing the thing that life, material nature brings us. But they come and shake us up and say, hey, sleeping soul, wake up. There's actually real happiness. However, that happiness isn't in this material existence. It becomes from the source of everything, which is Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada has done that for us. He's come into the West and he's shaken us up, given us these many books, and says, hey, please stop this suffering. Please turn to Krishna and take up to the process of Krishna consciousness. And it's really quite amazing because when you look outside what's going on in the material world, so many people are taking Srila Prabhupada's books and doing so many things with them. For instance, I was driving back from Houston a couple weeks ago, and there's a sign, and it says, spiritual food served here. Guess who the sign was for? Was it for a Hare Krishna temple? It was for a Christian church. Christian church they are now advertising, you could say, or let's not say maybe they're adjusting the way that they're calling blessed food, because in the Christian tradition you sit down at the table and you say grace, meaning that we say, thank you, Jesus, thank you, God, thank you, Lord, for this food, and may you bless it. They actually ask for God to bless the food. And so because of Srila Prabhupada and his books and his deep penetration of material existence, has people changing their language like this. They're calling it spiritual food. And if you continue to look into education and these different things that teachers are saying in this material world, is often what is being spoken here in Srimad Bhagavatam. They ask you to go inside. However, for inside to them is often going in the mind. Have a good mindset. Have a good attitude. They want you to go into these things. Become resilient, right? If you listen to TED Talks, these different motivational speakers, they're very good at this. And this is because they've understood that there's a separation of the body, the mind, the false ego, and the intelligence. And so they start to create the science of the mind, of the false ego, of the intelligence. The thing is that just by having a good mindset or a good attitude doesn't bring us to true happiness. It can help us to come out of a lower mode of ignorance in the sense of material existence. For instance, you can start to actually think about what the purpose of your life is, what the purpose of your service is, right? This is a big, big thing right now. Is that if you want to be happy, you become happy by giving. And so, but we have to go deeper than that. Vasudeva has written the most greatest work ever, in that he wrote the Vedas down. Seeing that people were becoming less intelligent in this material world, he knew that he needed to do something to help him. So he wrote the Vedas down. Excuse me, let me take a drink of water here. But was Vasudeva, was he happy? No, he wasn't, right? He just did this masterful work that could be seen as helping people to live peacefully if people were to educate themselves in that way, right? But Narada Muni came down and said, I see that you're unhappy. You did this masterful work. He said, yeah, I just did this amazing thing and I'm still not happy. And Narada Muni says, what? Well, it's because your purpose, you could say, wasn't to give people Krishna. Your purpose wasn't to glorify Krishna's name, pastimes, his paraphernalia, his activities, his pastimes. And so therefore you're falling short and you won't become happy like that. So in this material world, we can start to learn the science of subtle material in the sense of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. But even we need to go deeper than that for happiness. We need to come to the level of the soul, us. And this is the science that we have in Krishna consciousness, is how to help people to come to the understanding that they are spirit soul, and this material covering, whether it's the mind, intelligence, false ego, or the material elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Those all are material elements that we identify as us will keep us from happiness. We've got to go deeper. But the interesting thing is that because we're conditioned in this material world, and we do have these material elements that are we've come in contact with, we can't just tuck our head down and ignore them, right? We have to start to use them in their proper manner, right? And so this is where the science of our mind and our intelligence falls short also, is because they don't touch on the fact that they are what they're supposed to be used for. And so, by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, by coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, he brings us in contact with Krishna, and then we start to purify our intelligence. We start to purify our mind. We start to purify our existence. We start to use the things that we have for Krishna's service. And so, us being very limited in our perception can get frustrated or can want to or maybe not see the progress or what our contact with the spiritual, with Krishna and the pure devotee is doing in our life. But we must know and look to see how it has changed our life, and read Srila Prabhupada's books so that we can get the understanding that if I stay in contact with the pure devotee and I stay in contact with Krishna, although all of my shortcomings, my existence is guaranteed and that I will become purified. I was seeing somebody wrote something the other day on Facebook. They said that I accept that there's no hope for me. I'm a demon, and therefore there's no help for me. And I was thinking how sad that was, because we have this tendency to look at ourselves as so important and look at Krishna as something so small. By chanting Hare Krishna, we, in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we start to understand how amazing Krishna is. That by coming in contact to Him, no matter how powerful we think we are, how much of this or that we are, that by coming in contact with the holy name, by coming in contact with the pure devotee, by coming in contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, by just sticking with this process, the process itself pulls us out of these things. We want to think that because of our conditioned state in our millions and billions of lives, thinking we are in control or having a little bit of influence, that we are the purpose of the outcomes around us, which isn't true. Behind everything is a Supreme Person who's even a blade of grass is not moving without His sanction. And so when we come into Krishna consciousness, we bring this mind, this thought, this conditioning of that I am so important, and Krishna's important, but I am the ultimate purpose for what's going on. And so we often downplay or minimize the contact of the pure devotee or the contact of the holy name. So we need to be conscious of us tasting the water, tasting Krishna, tasting the holy name, chanting the holy name, and that it's our saving grace. It is completely pure. It is without material existence. It has no tinge of materialism in it all. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, we come in contact with that purified state, that pure spiritual nature, and therefore we become purified. We really need to become convinced of this. Because material nature is moving, and it can be hard. In one of the translation, it was talking about the three impediments, or the three things that disturb the living entity, right? What are the three things that are disturbing to the entity? One, I'll give you one. Their own body, right? Our mind is disturbing us. Our body's becoming sick, right? What's in another one? How about other living entities, right? You sit in the wonderful Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji Dham Park, and it's so amazing. You got Tamal Krishna Goswami's beautiful samadhi, but then something happens. What happens? The mosquitoes start picking at you, right? So these other living entities are disturbing us, right? So our own body, other living entities, and what's the third one? How about natural occurrences, natural disasters, natural things. The weather, we're walking yesterday, we're chanting japa, walking around the temple, and all of a sudden it starts raining, right? the thunder. One day it's 100 degrees and the next it's 65. It goes back and forth, you know. So these are things that we have no control of that are disturbing us. So we should understand, we should come to knowledge that we're looking outside of ourselves for happiness. And because of that conditioned state, millions and millions of lifetimes, we've come to be so focused on these different things, whether it's the material body, whether it's our mind, whether it's our intelligence, our false ego. We think of them as supreme, and we often think that because of this, we often think that Krishna's name, or Krishna, must be conditioned also. The holy name isn't completely pure, so we don't take the process serious. But we hear from Srila Prabhupada that in Srimad Bhagavatam that the holy name is completely pure. Krishna does not come into contact with material nature. And so we just keep that faith that by chanting Hare Krishna, by coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada, his books, by coming in contact with spiritual nature, that because it's pure, we cannot affect it, but it can affect us. So we just try to stay connected. Try to chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. We associate nicely with devotees and just get out of our own way. Just do some service. Before you do that service, tell Krishna your only desire. My only desire, Krishna, is to please you, and therefore I move forward in my service. Please help me. And don't offend devotees. And by chanting Hare Krishna, doing this service, by associating without offending devotees, our process is guaranteed. We just keep moving forward. Hare Krishna. Jaishnav, you're the only one in the audience that I can see. Maybe some people on YouTube. Probably some people on YouTube, right? Hare Krishna. So, you need to do us, if you would be so kind to do us a favor, would you ask a question or make a comment about what was spoke on today? You grab that microphone right there and just say something. Whatever you think. What do you think about this story that's being spoken about material existence? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's true what is being spoken about material existence? Why do you think it's true? Grab the mic and tell me why. Tell us why you think it's true. If you would. What's your experience? Have you had any experience? No? No experience? So in your life, you've never had an experience where material nature has been mean to you, has hurt you, or fallen short of your happiness? What happened? Grab the mic. There's people on YouTube that need to hear. Okay, then I'll repeat what you're saying. What did you say? What happened? You were what? You got to be a little bit louder. You were in a boat in Mayapur? And so you're in a boat in Mayapur, and it started raining really hard. And what happened? You got wet. Yeah. So yeah, life is like that. You're in a boat. You're selling, smiling, it's all good. Everything's wonderful. And then it starts to rain on you, right? That's material existence. And at least in the spiritual world, when it rains, it feels amazing, right? But here we get wet, then we get off the boat, and then we got to wear soggy clothes. And that's tough, because when you're soggy, you can irritate your skin, right? So yeah, we should understand that this raining is happening on us without our desire. We want to be happy. We want to be riding a boat with no impediments. We just want to enjoy, want to feel that breeze on our face. It's natural for us to look for happiness. It's the constitution of the soul. But we're in a very awkward position where we're being rained on. Right? And so, Srila Prabhupada has given us that to stop the rain, so that we can truly become happy, we must chant Hare Krishna. Right? No other way, no other way, no other way. Any other comments? No? Okay. Well, in there, please, everyone. Let us chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Make that our goal. That we always are chanting Hare Krishna. If we have some moments in our life that becomes undoable, let us take shelter of the spiritual master. Ask some questions. What's going on? What is keeping me from chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours a day? And we can help. They can help us because they've been there. They're walked this path, and they can help us so that we can chant 24 hours a day. Let us make this goal. Of course, chanting Hare Krishna is reading Srila Prabhupada's books, doing our service for Krishna, having Krishna consciousness. Okay? Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Brahmanande Hari Hari Bo, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Antikuti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai.